Hello, fantasy sports fans, and welcome to our weekly waiver wire show here on MFSN The Hub. My name is Casey Scheinvold, otherwise known as Vlad to the Bone, and I'm joined, as always, by the one, the only, Ross the Boss.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ross the Boss. And I want to talk waiver. Excuse me. I want to talk baseball waiver wire with you,
He just wants
cowboy.
to talk clearly. That's all
I
he's
do
looking
want to
for.
talk clear. I'm just so excited about the season's half over. We'll talk a little bit about the All-Star game later in the show. Before we get started, I want to mention Trevor Bauer. I'm in Los Angeles. He's all over the news. The Dodgers came out today and said the 7-day absence is going to be longer. They already canceled the bobblehead night for Trevor Bauer here in Los Angeles, supposed to be in August. That's over with. That's not happening. So obviously, I don't think Trevor Bauer will be a LA Dodger for much longer. And that's a shame. I mean, I'm not going to speak. I don't know the facts on either side because I wasn't there. But that all being said, I think the guy deserves his day in court, or at least deserves to have somebody judge what happened before he's guilty. I mean, again, sports loves canceling everything, so let's cancel Trevor Bauer without a jury. Again, I mean, wasn't there. I'm not saying either side is right, but I think he deserves his day in court to decide if he was wrong or right. And that's Ross the Boss.
All right. Well, we're starting out on a somber note. Obviously, it is a tragic situation, no matter how you slice it. And when you choose to live your life in the public eye, which professional athletes do, you're unfortunately scrutinized in a different way than the rest of us. Hopefully, the truth comes out, and what's right is what is done. And so, hopefully, that happens. But let's talk about not important things, but more fun things to talk about, and that's fantasy baseball. Obviously, Trevor Bauer owners are scrambling and looking for some pitchers, and we'll talk about pitchers later in this episode. But first, let's give you the ground rules. As always, we're going to give you the names of different players who can help your roster that are likely available on your waiver wire. We look at players who are owned in less than 60% of Yahoo leagues. We focus on Yahoo because it tends to be one of the largest samples of fantasy baseball owners at this point. So players who are owned in less than 60% of leagues, we're going to go position by position. We'll take a little break in the middle to talk about the All-Star game because that's coming up here in the next couple of weeks. And we here are excited about the All-Star game, but more excited about naming who we think are our fantasy All-Stars. So let's start at catcher. Ross, we always start at catcher. Who are some guys available on the waiver wire who you think can help fantasy rosters around the world?
I feel this week with catchers is the strongest position. I feel there's a lot of great catchers out there that are streaking. They're streaking. Don't pick them up and say, "Oh, these guys are going to keep up what they're doing." They're not. There's no way. But there's like 3 or 4 catchers right now that are playing great, hitting the ball well. Let's talk first. I talked about it last week. He plays in Colorado. It's Elias Diaz, excuse me. Elias Diaz is hitting. He's been hitting like 345, 4 home runs the past 2 weeks. He's been destroying the ball. I mean, he's somebody. If your catcher's not performing, pick Diaz up in Colorado. You'll thank me later, but he's been just destroying the ball.
Yeah, I think Diaz is crushing the ball too. He's a good pickup. The guy who surprised me the most when I was going through the numbers was John Hicks in Texas. He qualifies a catcher and first base. Have you seen what he's done in the past week? He's only had 12 at bats. He's gotten 6 hits and 4 of them have been home runs. He is absolutely like bonkers right now.
I don't think 500 case. You're telling me he's hitting 500
in the last week? He is with 4 home runs. I mean, it's not going to keep up, but certainly considering what most people have on their rosters and how they're consistently performing, it can't be hard to ride. It's not a bad idea to ride that hot streak while it's there. And of course, then there's Eric Haas in Detroit, who's also doing really well right now. In the last couple weeks, he's batting over 320. He's knocked in 11 runs. He's even chipped in a stolen base to go with his 4 home runs. Who else do you have at catcher?
And going back to your guy in Detroit, he has 4 home runs and he has an in the park home run for a catcher.
Oh, I didn't know one of them,
which I haven't seen done in years. He did that a few days ago. I watched it live. Actually, it was actually kind of fun to watch. I also have. I want to say it. I have an LA Angel. He's 30 years old, Max Stacy. I mean, he's hitting 342 the past 2 weeks. He's been hitting the ball, destroying the ball, actually. Another guy you should pick up is, all these catchers in the past 2 weeks have been hitting over 300. So if you do catcher again, if he's underperforming, pick up one of the catchers we're talking about. Where is Dr. Dan Ratner? Is he showing up or not?
I think he's got a few names to tell us right now. Dan, are you there?
I'm here. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you, Dr. Dan. He's
and
here.
We see him.
We got him.
My goodness.
We got Dr. Dan Ratner. He's in the house. Dr. Dan Ratner, we're talking about catchers. I need some names right now.
All right, well, listen, I don't know what you've said so far, but I
don't care. Just give us your first name. I'll say yay or nay. Do it. Go.
Okay, Joey Bart, San Francisco. They're going to call him up soon. I think it's going to happen. Tell
us why. How good is he?
Listen, this guy was the #1 pick in the draft, as I recall correctly.
You are correct, sir.
And he's going to be the next Buster Posey.
The next Buster Posey? That's unbelievable. He's an all-star Buster Posey. How dare you say that? But go on.
How dare I say it? The Giants know how they know how to raise him.
Yep.
And I'm going to give you another rookie catcher that I think you should pounce on right away. Cal Raleigh.
Cal Raleigh. Yes. I never heard of that guy. Tell me who he is.
On the Seattle Mariners. Seattle Mariners. And he's tearing it up. Completely tearing it up. These guys are going to be on the way up. This is the time of the season when you want to scoop players up just right now, because these players are going to be scooped up within 2 weeks. Get them now. You heard it here first.
I like those. Those are two fresh names we've not talked about. Those are great names.
You know how I love the prospects, so you're singing my song when you bring up names that aren't up yet. All right, let's move on to first base. Dan, since you came in late and had to go last, I'll let you go first on first base. Who do you got?
Oh, I see. You're going to let me come in and have to say catchers and then say first base right away.
Yeah, why not?
Let's go. Well, listen, I'm sorry. I had this sorted the way I was supposed to, but instead of having all players selected, I had all Seattle players selected. So if you want a Seattle first baseman, go with Ty France. Not a bad pickup, actually. I mean, he's 43% owned. He's a pretty good pickup, especially if you play in leagues where there's like a middle infielder needed. He's a great one because he's got first base also. But if we're going 60% and under, just generally speaking, there's plenty to choose from. Nate Lowe, I think, is still a decent player to own. He's been cold, but he's a young player, so I could see him picking it up and getting going again. Here's a guy I really like, though, is Jesus Aguilar. I've mentioned him before. I haven't mentioned him in a while.
Is he Jewish? I'm not quite sure. There's a rumor that he's Jewish. Is he Jewish or not?
Yeah, he used to be Jesus. We're already off track. Jesus is not a Jewish name, is it? Listen, Jesus Aguilar has 53 RBIs. We're not even halfway through the season. This guy's sitting on the waiver wire in 44% of leagues. That should not be. Pick him up fast. Now I'm going to give it over to Ross the Boss.
Okay, so thank you for the great introduction. So somebody we've been talking about up and down. Now, in the past 2 weeks, he's been hitting over 300. He's in his groove. He has a couple home runs. Is Andrew Vaughn of the White Sox. I feel the White Sox are going to make a huge run they're already in first place, but I think they'll stay there. I think their hitting will just get better and better. They're calling a lot of young talent up right now to take places of people that are hurt. I feel Andrew Vaughn's going to probably bat 5th or 6th in that lineup. He's a monster. Pick him up now. Somebody else that I loved who's in the cover this week of our show is Joey Votto. Joey Votto, since he's came back from his thumb injury, remember he got hurt for like 2 weeks. He was in the thumb. He was out. He's been hitting over 300. I mean, and the Reds have been scoring. They've been sweeping people. They swept the Cubs. They won the day. Votto's been a big part of that, and the Reds are in the playoff hunt, and Votto's going to lead the Reds to the playoffs. So Joey Votto at first base, pick him up. He's not going to be the MVP he was 10 years ago, but you know what? He's going to have a good season, and it's going to be looking good on your team if you pick him up right now.
Well, I think everybody's sweeping the Cubs right now, so that's not really a ringing endorsement of a team. But I know you're a Cincinnati fan, so I'll let you have
11 in a row, Case. I mean, they've been playing
that's a few sweeps, if you ask me. All right, I'm going to name a couple first basemen. One, Keston Hiura is back up with Milwaukee. In the past couple weeks, he's been hitting well. He has the pedigree to be a really solid hitter, contributing. He's knocked in 12 RBIs, I believe, in the last 2 weeks. Qualifies again at second base as well as first. So he can be really helpful to you. And the other one I want to name, somebody who had one of the greatest first halves of a season back in 2019 for the Pittsburgh Pirates, has been kind of lost in a slump for much of the remaining 1.5 to 2 years of baseball, is Josh Bell. He suddenly is tearing the cover off the ball. The last couple weeks, 11 RBIs, 3 home runs, a 350 batting average. He's only owned in 55%, which is pretty low considering his name value still. So he's somebody you can scoop up, and if he stays hot, you might be able to flip him for something else too if the numbers keep up. So Casey, who else do you have, Dan?
Can we do a quick "I told you so" moment? I'm
really
do
it. Go ahead. I want to hear. Is it Hunter Dozier? Who's it this time?
Patrick Wisdom.
Who's going to mention the same names? Let's go.
Patrick Wisdom. I mean,
I
told you he would be floating on the waiver wire.
He's a streaker. I said he was a streaker.
You did. Listen, Ross. This is not an "I told you so" to you. This is just an "I told you so" to the
pick him
people.
up, and he had a great 3 weeks.
Dan, you were, because you missed a couple weeks here. You missed Ross's biggest "I told you so," which we had to eat crow on, which was Cody Bellinger.
I didn't have to eat it. I was talking Cody Bellinger like huge.
No, right, and he's been terrible.
Yeah, you were.
Oh, he's been terrible.
And now he's sitting under his.
Whereas, remember our first baseman discussion?
He could be the biggest flop in fantasy baseball this year. Yeah, you did talk about
at first base, and Matt Olson's terrible. Now Matt Olson is crushing him and starting in the All-Star game.
And I think he should be starting over Flop. That's my opinion, but that's Ross the Boss.
Okay, well, listen, guys, I'm sorry, but I'm fresh out of crow at my house. But I will find some, and I will eat it.
One more first baseman I like. I love his name. He sounds like a 40s, like a movie star, doesn't he? Garrett Cooper. Garrett Cooper, starring
Speaking
today.
Of those Miami first baseman.
Miami first baseman. In the past 2 weeks, Garrett Cooper's been hitting .423. I said at .423, 2 home runs. He's been as a stolen base. Garrett Cooper's unbelievable right now. If you need a first baseman he's a streaker, pick him up for a week, 10 days, but he's going to help your team tremendously.
All right, let Casey. I came in late. I have no right to come in here.
We know you came in late.
No. I'm making a point, Ross. Patience. I came in late. I shouldn't just come back and be like, now I'm going to be the main host again, okay?
No, you lost that job. That job is gone. His name is Casey Scheinfeld.
I am happy to share the spotlight at all times.
Casey, you're in charge today. You're in charge today. I have to show up on time if I'm going to be in charge.
All right, so we're going to move on to second base. Second base I didn't think it was a very deep position this week on the waiver wire. I don't have a lot of names, but I'm going to hold off and let Ross go first. So, Ross,
God, you're so nice. I agree with you. But somebody we talked about him when you did your baseball show. You talked about Vidal Brujan. Is that how you say it?
Brujan, I think.
Brujan. They just brought him up. In the minors, I know the minor stats aren't that great. 259, 9 home runs, 15 stolen bases.
Yeah, he's got
not bad. It's
speed.
faster than Dr. Dan Ratner. But he's somebody that huge prospect for your Tampa Bay team. And he is somebody that I feel is going to have a good second half. He's going to play a lot. I think it's a good pickup. I just have a feeling about him. I like the name Vidal. I like everything about him. And I just feel the Tampa Bay team is gelling. They're playing well. They'll be in the playoffs again. I don't know if they'll win the American League, but we'll talk about that later. But Vidal is, for me, if I had to pick up a second baseman, and he's only 30% owned in Yahoo right now, and I looked today, 12,000 people picked him up yesterday. 12,000!
Yeah, no,
yeah.
it's a great
people.
Well, that's totally an abstract number.
So for me, Vidal, I would pick him up. I mean, if I dropped Jazz in one of our leagues to pick up Vidal. I don't know if that's a good move or bad move. We'll talk about
risky,
that later.
That's for sure.
And I love
Listen,
risk.
I love that pickup, and I also want to say this. We got to give a little bit of a shout out to Tampa Bay. They won the Super Bowl. They're about to win the Stanley Cup again, and Tampa Bay lost the World Series in Game 7. I mean, what is
Game 6? I was there.
They also lost Game 7, which wasn't even played.
That's right.
Okay,
they certainly didn't win it.
They did not.
They didn't win it, and it was a shame because Blake Snell was pitching, and he looked so good, and for some reason that stupid manager took him out just because of the pitch count.
Hold on.
So
we got to defend Kevin Cash here. He's proven to be a pretty darn good manager.
Snell was rolling. He I'm talking. It makes me sick. I was rooting for Tampa to win. But
all right, I'm going to give you a second baseman. A second baseman that has been hitting really, really well over the last month. Jace Peterson of Milwaukee.
Yeah, I love that kid. And tell us the good news about him.
Well, I was trying to. Okay, here's the good news about him. I mean, he qualifies at second base. He qualifies at first base, third base, outfield. He stole 4 bases in a month, 17 runs, 15 RBIs. Now listen, if you're thinking about picking up a different Peterson, Jock Peterson, his numbers actually look similar, but his batting average is terrible, and he put up those numbers all in 3 games. So you can't have Jock Peterson. I owned him for a little while. trying to catch lightning in a bottle or maybe play, I wouldn't mess around with him, and certainly not at second base because he doesn't qualify there. But Jace Peterson is looking pretty good.
And he's hitting like 400 or something, like the past, like some crazy number the past 2 weeks.
Well, he's hitting 278 over the last 30 days, but I will check on 2 weeks, and we're going to turn.
Who's that? Jace Peterson.
Jace Peterson.
The last 2 weeks, he's batting .412 with 10 runs scored, 10 RBIs, and 2 stolen bases.
Yeah. Can you? But think about this. Let's put this into context. Ted Williams batted .406 for an entire season. That's crazy. I just needed to say it. Okay.
Well done. So other second basemen, I'm going to name a couple.
Go ahead.
The Nationals are playing great right now, so everybody on the Nationals are kind of putting up numbers. Starlin Castro is a guy who, when he was early in his career, proved he could put up 200 hits in a season pretty consistently. He was kind of a hit machine, never going to wow you with power, but right now he's putting up numbers, 396, 10 RBIs in the last 2 weeks. And then the other guy is, I think, Ross, you mentioned him last week, Kike Hernandez in Boston. He is also putting up really good numbers. He has 4 home runs in the last 2 weeks, batting .275. Boston is scoring runs in bunches with the exception of last night. Shout out to Shohei for shutting him down because my Yankees won, so we picked up a game there. But Kike Hernandez qualifies at second, short, and outfield. He can help you. He's got some versatility. He's going to be in the lineup every day because of his versatility, so he's another one who can help. So any other second baseman we missed?
Oh, I've got one.
Ooh.
Listen, Jonathan India needs to keep being mentioned. He's only 55% owned. He's hitting 318 over the last 2 weeks. He has 12 runs scored and two stolen bases. I almost said 2 RBIs, which would not be impressive. But he's got to be owned and more. If I could pick him up, I would. If I could pry him off of Andrew's team because he doesn't deserve such a great player, I would do so. I'm just going to go and say it. I really don't see any others that are jumping out at me. Here, you know what? I'll eat some crow. You ready?
Yes.
Dylan Moore is really turning out to be a bust. You know, I'm just going to say it. If you're going to trust me, you're going to need to know that I'm going to tell you when I sucked, and I did. Okay, Case, back to you.
All right, third base. I'm going to go first on third base because it to me is also very weak. I don't even know if I have any really good third baseman right now. I'm going to say one only because he qualifies at third base, but he's not primarily a third baseman who's playing right now pretty well, and that's Kyle Farmer in Cincinnati, another one of Ross's Reds. I think we'll just call him Ross's Reds from now on. I like the sound of that. It's got a good ring. He's not putting up a great average, only 240 in the last 2 weeks, but he's stolen a base. He's hitting some clutch home runs, 6 runs scored, 4 RBIs. Third base was pretty weak. Jace Peterson qualifies there, so you could throw him there too. But
that was my guy.
But you already talked about him at second. You can't.
I was going to talk about him at third.
No,
I can do it.
The great thing about Kyle Farmer is he can play catcher too.
And Kyle Farmer can play catcher too. Good point, Ross. So Ross, do you have third baseman for me?
You know, I have a couple. It's been kind of weak. We'll talk about Fletch. You knew who Fletch is, right? Tell the crowd who Fletch is real quick.
David Fletcher.
David Fletcher.
Okay, enough said.
He'll hit.
Fletcher is not going to hit
one
runs for you,
but he can roller skate wearing a Jesus costume very well.
Or it wasn't Jesus. It was more of like a Hare Krishna, right? The long beard and it wasn't Jesus. It was like Hare Krishna. So he's hitting 346 in the past 2 weeks. That's pretty good. He has a stolen base. How many home runs does he have for the season? 0. No home runs. Listen, but if you need somebody to help your team with average, I would pick up David Fletcher. Ty France, we talked about. He can play third base. And somebody else who has not played this season, who's coming back next week, is J.D. Davis for the Mets. And he's a streaker. And if he gets hot, it could be a great pickup for you. I would pick him. I picked him up and I stashed him in one of our leagues. I don't think that's a bad move. The Mets are so high on him right now, and they need something to like get this offense moving. So I think J.D. Davis could be a good pickup right now.
All right, I'm going to jump in for a sec because I was reading an article and it was on. Now Seth Beer is a first baseman, so I'm not going to talk about him in third base, but I'm going to talk about the third baseman that was mentioned in this article.
Okay.
The guy said if I had to pick one other guy other than Seth Beer, it would be Jake Berger, and somehow he missed the joke. It was like beer and burger, like right together, and he just didn't say anything about it. I was like, that is like as comically tone deaf as you can.
And the other joke was, which I said before, is they dropped Mercedes to the minors and they brought up Burger. So you got rid of a Mercedes, but you got a burger instead. I guess rather
traded in a Mercedes for a burger.
There you go.
You were hungry. Jake Berger is a third baseman for the White Sox. The White Sox, just like everything they do right now, is looking pretty good, unless it's Lucas Giolito, who's on my fantasy team. What's going on, Lucas? I interviewed you, and now you've been bad. Was it something I said? I think here's another guy that I will mention. He has a low batting average right now, but Abraham Toro of the Houston Astros, if he gets that average up, he's got a lot of production going on. In the last 2 weeks, he has 8 runs, 2 homers, 10 RBIs, and only 37 at bats. And he's a young talent also. Who do we miss?
I don't know if we missed any third baseman, but I want to go back to first baseman real quick because I thought of this and I must not have jotted it down. But the Brewers made a trade, I think either yesterday or this morning, for Rowdy Tellez from the Toronto Blue Jays, who is a left-handed batter. They need a first baseman pretty badly. Milwaukee's a great hitter's ballpark. Tellez has put up numbers in the past. I'm not saying he's a must-own, but he's certainly on a must-watch list because he goes into a really good situation with a good team. And if he's given regular at-bats in Miller Ballpark, he can certainly provide some power numbers for you to help you pretty quick. I don't have any other third baseman. Do you guys?
I have one. Another young guy, Spencer Torkelson, 8% owned. He's on the Detroit Tigers. This guy is a young talent. What's that?
Do you think he'll really get called up?
I think he's going to get called up.
He was
soon.
the number 1 draft pick. I don't know if you guys remember this.
Last year
From an unbelievable college. It was Arizona State. That's where he went to school. The same school where Ross the Boss went. Obviously, it's a great school. So Spencer, I don't know, he's called up. That's news to me, which is great. I'm
not saying he is called up, but I think he's going to be called up.
Well, he's the number 1 pick. He better, the Tigers have nothing to lose. Might as well bring the kid up.
My prediction is he's up in August. But one thing to keep in mind in leagues, everybody gets called up in September, pretty much. So almost everybody. He can help you, even for just a month. Think about it.
All right. Now that we're through the third baseman, we're going to do our little mid-pick special, and we're going to talk about the current all-star rosters and talk about our opinions about, from a fantasy perspective or a real-life perspective, who were the snubs and who were the overrated players who shouldn't have gotten in. So I'm going to list the AL All-Star starters for you guys, and I just want your gut reactions. So catcher for the AL All-Stars, I have listed Salvador Perez. At first base, we have.
Well, so let's stop at Perez. Let's just stop.
Whoa, he's not going to let me get through him. All right, go, Ross.
I want to talk about Perez real
quick. Do it your way.
I agree with that selection. There's no one else I really feel that deserves to be an all-star in the American League except Perez. And does anybody disagree?
No, I completely agree. But I'm going to be a little more genteel here and let Casey finish his list.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, first base, Vlad to the bone. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Second base, Marcus Semien. The Blue Jays are dominating early. Third base, Rafael Devers. Shortstop, Xander Bogaerts. So the left side of the infield is the Red Sox. The right side of the infield is the Blue Jays. The outfield will be an interesting discussion point. You got Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, and Teoscar Hernandez. And the DH starter for the American League is none other than Shohei himself. So of those starters, who do you think should not have gotten the spot? I'll let Dan go since Ross already interrupted everybody.
Well, listen, I understood why Ross interrupted because Salvador Perez is running away with it. He should have been the starting catcher. He penciled in at the start, but he has really proved it. Listen, I've got to go with Mike Trout as the questionable one. I mean, he's been out a lot. I just don't think you get gifted the spot. There are players who are working really hard and playing really well, and he missed time. Ross, do you agree?
Trout's not playing. He already said it. Trout won't be in Colorado.
But he was still a starter.
Yeah, but of course. I mean, Trout hasn't played in 6 weeks. Of course, he shouldn't be playing. And Hernandez, the other starter for the guy who plays in Toronto, he shouldn't be starting either.
But tell me why.
I completely agree.
I mean, Hernandez has 11 home runs. His average is fine. It's like 280, 290, whatever it is, doesn't matter. But there's a guy named J.D. Martinez that's leading the charge for the Red Sox. The reason they're in first place is because of J.D. Martinez. And he's having an unbelievable rebound season. And, I like him. The other guy I like, he plays for our last place team, but I love Mullins for Baltimore. 15 stolen bases, 16 home runs, he's hitting like 290. I mean, he's somebody else that I think deserves to be at least talked about a starter on the American League All-Star team.
Okay, now I need to ask you an embarrassing question, guys. I'm just going to put it right out there. I had kids 12 years ago. I had my first kid,
Yep.
and since then I've missed
Congratulations.
a lot of stuff. So they do still vote for the starters, correct?
The popularity vote determines the starters. Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Yes.
I didn't want to like say something and
But it's all done online now. There's no. You
Okay,
can't
but
vote
here's the thing.
ballpark and there's no more ballpark votes. It's
that's
all
why Teoscar Hernandez is in here. Teoscar Hernandez is in here because of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. There's so many people who voted for him, and the people who voted for him were like, I'm going to vote for Teoscar also. Something's got to be done about the voting. Come on.
I don't think it's a bad pick. I mean, I don't think it's like picking like somebody out of the blue. I just feel there's a lot better players.
not
But
like-
that's part of the All-Star pickings process.
Yeah.
I mean, there'll be players that don't deserve it, and that's what we're talking about right
Yeah.
now. And if I had to replace two players on the team, it'd be Trout and Hernandez with JD Martinez and Mullins. That would be my two replacements.
See, I don't know if I'd go with JD Martinez because he's a DH. How many times has he even played the outfield this year? I agree that he is worthy of a start, but Shohei is going to get that start at the DH spot.
Oh,
I would give him the spot because he's just been that good.
I
and
agree. He's been.
you
that
can't
good.
punish him
I
just
mean,
because
he
Shohei's
played
also there.
outfield before. I mean, it's like if Dan played in the NBA, he knows how to play guard. You know, he can still do it. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Am I seeing this correctly? That the National League has one less elected starter because they don't have a DH, I guess.
You are correct, sir.
All right. So, Case, give us the starting lineup for the National League.
All right. We have the ageless wonder Buster Posey starting at catcher from the San Francisco Giants. We have Freddie Freeman at first, the ever-present Brave. We have Adam Frazier, the surprise starter, I think, from the Pittsburgh Pirates at second base. Nolan Arenado at third, Fernando Tatis Jr. at shortstop. And the outfield consists of the two Reds, Nick Castellanos and Jesse Winker, and then Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Atlanta Braves. So who jumps out at you there?
I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say I think this is basically as perfect a roster as I would want to see in the National League for what they've achieved.
The only one I would look at is I think Ozzie Albies also has a fair argument to say he should be the starting second baseman. He's been tremendous.
You hit it on the nail on the head
in Atlanta, and he's on a winner, and he's doing it. Yeah, I think Adam Frazier is doing a great job. I don't think he's going to finish the season as a Pirate. I don't know if that.
You're right. That's the one right there.
If that.
Well, I also have another replacement. I like Jake Cronenworth for the San Diego Padres. I mean, he's been leading the charge in that team too. He's been unbelievable. He's a second baseman, and he should be mentioned too. The good news is he's on the All-Star team. He's just not starting. But Frazier's sitting over 300. He's having a good season for the Pirates, and I don't think.
He's not having a bad season at all. He's worthy of the All-Star spot. I just don't think he's the best second baseman in the National League.
I was pleased to see a Pirate on there, though, in the voting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, me too.
If there was going to be a Pirate that should be in there, I think we all know that it should be Brian Reynolds. That guy has been insane.
He's on the team, isn't he?
He made a reserve.
He's on the team, but I mean, you could.
He shouldn't be starting.
Starter,
he's no Winker. Yeah, but come on.
Exactly.
But I do think the starter for the National League is Jarvis this year. DeGrom is not playing. The manager already said it, that he does not want him playing in the All-Star game because it's going to mess up his starting rotation with the Mets, and all the Mets care about is winning their pennants, so they don't want to cause any problems. So I think Darvish, if I had to pick a starter, he would be the starter for the National League.
I couldn't argue against him, although my choice would be Brandon Woodruff of the Milwaukee Bucks. I think he's been that dominant too. But I'm not going to argue there. We didn't talk about a starting pitcher for the American League. The American League starting pitching looks shady to me
it
right
does,
now.
But, I mean,
I would say Cole, but he's off my. Ever since they put the rules in about checking
Fight
the mitts,
attack.
he's been missing in action. I mean, I would say Rodon of the White Sox.
I think what you do is you start Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, it'd be great.
With JD Martinez in right field, get an inning or two out of Ohtani, then put Ohtani in right field.
Wait, I have a good idea. I have a great idea because, when a pitcher's taken out of the game, they can't come back in. But if they shift to a different position, they could.
Here's a quiz question for you. Quiz question for you guys. Are you guys ready?
Go ahead.
Who was the last pitcher to hit in the All-Star game for the American League?
Ooh, wait. I remember this happening. I think it was Charles Nagy.
Nope.
Well, he did. He
2009, Roy Halladay.
Really?
May he rest in
late
peace.
Roy Halladay.
Yeah.
Listen, here was my idea. You start Ohtani.
Okay.
He should start the game, move
Start
to
the
the
game.
outfield, and then close the game. Wouldn't it be amazing to have the
Oh
starter
my
also
gosh,
close
that
the
would
game?
be a lot of fun, but he'd have to play all 9 innings, and I don't know if any
I don't
All-Star
think
does
the
that.
Angels want him playing that much in an All-Star game. I think the Angels kind of want him to be ready for the regular
Well,
season.
I can't help it if the Angels have no sense of humor.
Is Terry Francona the manager? Who's the manager of the AL All-Star team?
Is
it Kevin Cash?
Isn't the
It's
guy
Kevin
for
Cash.
Isn't
Kevin
it
Cash is the guy who
Or-
won.
Yeah,
who
because
went
it's the guy who
who won the
represented the
pennant.
World Series.
Yeah, so it's
I think
Cash
he would
and
be
it's-
happy to play Ohtani all 9 innings.
Now listen, Casey, I'm not the host of this show because I showed up late, but I think we got to get moving.
Oh, are we wrong? Okay, well, let's go to starting pitching then. Fine.
Well,
No,
wait,
we
hold
have
on.
to do
You're going to start
outfielders.
pitching, but we
We
haven't
have
done outfield
outfielders.
or
Skip
shortstop.
the outfield.
We
Did
haven't
we skip
talked about
shortstop?
shortstops or outfielders.
Oh my gosh. I
Maybe
get all
I should
flustered when
host
Dan's
Casey.
here.
Yeah.
All right,
I think-
shortstops. Anybody better than Willie Adames to pick up right now, guys?
No,
He's a great pickup.
no, great pickup. The only guy I had Kiki Hernandez just because he's available there, but you already said him, so I can't use that one.
Another Jew.
The the Orlando Arcia for Atlanta, he's been starting like 3 games in a row, and he's been hitting
Is
the ball.
Swanson
pretty hard.
hurt?
I don't know, but I think he plays the outfield. He can play the outfield also.
All right, wait,
not-
hold on. This is a waiver wire show, so guys out there, if you're watching, check. Make sure he Crawford is hurt.
Swanson.
Swanson, sorry, not Crawford.
He's been starting the past 3 games. He's a home run, stolen base, 26-year-old. I feel that you just keep an eye on him. Don't pick him up quite yet. Just put him on your list to just look out for.
All
Okay.
right, well, I agree. Willie Adames is the clear pickup. I don't understand why he's only 55% off.
I know.
He's every week, Dan, and you guys know this. Every week he's going up. I mean, 2 weeks
Yeah, but
ago
it
he was
should be up
he was
around
like
80%.
30%.
Yeah.
And every time Casey talks about him, he goes another 10% every week.
Well, I talked about Wander Franco for like 18 straight weeks, and he didn't go up at all. And then he got called up. Now he's up.
Okay.
So who do you got, Dan? Shortstop.
Well, shortstop is not that. It's not that strong of a position, but
No,
I
it's
will
horrible.
say J.P. Crawford. I did say Crawford accidentally because when I was trying to say Swanson because I had him on the mind. J.P. Crawford of Seattle. In the last month, he's got 17 runs scored, 2 homers, 10 RBIs, 1 steal. But here's the key: 330 batting average.
That's pretty impressive.
That's very, very valuable. I'll mention one other guy that I like, even though his stats haven't been that great, is Josh Rojas of Arizona. He's available at second base, shortstop, and outfield, and he kind of does it all. So I think he's just a valuable player to have on your bench. I wouldn't love to have him as my starter, but I'll take him. And I even have one more if you guys want me to go.
Hey, if you're
Miles
feeling it,
Straw.
I have one, but I'll let you say it. Yep, that's who it is.
Okay, Miles Straw, shortstop, outfield. Well, since you were going to say him, you talk about him.
Well, in the last 2 weeks, Miles Straw for Houston, he qualifies at shortstop. He plays primarily in the outfield right now. He's batting .372. He's scored 9 runs, and he's stolen 4 bases. And if you've listened to us at all or follow fantasy baseball at all, the stolen base is the hardest category to fill. And this guy is filling it week in and week out. And in that way, you can deal with the complete absence of power numbers for him because he's helping you in a category that is almost impossible to pick up consistently. So Miles Straw is another important add there at the shortstop position. We can also add him in the outfielders, which is where we're going to move to next.
No, shortstop this week's probably the weakest position to pick up that's under 60%. The best pickup is Willie or Adames is the best pickup. Everybody else is weak and slow and not hitting the ball. And just
Everyone else is weak and slow.
Weak and terrible. Dan, give me 2 outfielders.
Okay, well, we're doing 60% and under, and Adam Duvall is at 60%, so he qualifies right now. He has 27 RBIs in the last month, 10 homers, and Adam Duvall is hitting .299 this month. That's crazy. You got to pounce on him. Another guy that I would pounce on is Hunter Renfroe. Never liked him all that much, but his production also 21 RBIs. He's got 6 homers. He's hitting like Adam Duvall I'd expect to hit, 6 homers and .247 average. So if you want the real Adam Duvall, pick up Hunter Renfroe, if that's not too confusing.
With a real Adam Duvall, please stand up.
Yes.
Please stand up.
All right, Ross, give me a couple more names.
Rookie, Detroit, Akil Badu. Did I say it right?
Yep.
Hitting .274, and we talked about stolen bases before, Case, and he has 15 stolen bases for the year. He's the leadoff man of Detroit. He leads off.
5 in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, 5 in 2 weeks. He's, again, stolen bases means just as much as home runs in a lot of these leagues. It's 10 category league. You need stolen bases. This guy's hitting 274. He's a rookie, and he's been playing. Every week he gets better. So Akil for me is a great pickup. Another guy I like, he plays for your Pittsburgh Pirates, is Ben Gamel.
He's only 3% owned.
3% owned, 277 the past 2 weeks. How many home runs does he have? 5 home runs. 5 home runs, Casey Scheinfeld. 10 RBIs, Casey Scheinfeld. He's somebody that you could pick up. He's
not
a streaker.
Weak and slow, that guy.
No, he's a strong kid. I wouldn't mess with him in a dark alley. But that all being said, I feel that Ben right now is a streaker. I don't think he'll keep it up. But again, no one's watching Pirate games anyway, so might as well pick him up. And you don't have to watch the game. You just have to have him on your team. Doesn't matter. So Ben Gamel's a pretty good pickup.
All right, I'm going to name 2 more, then we're going to move on to pitchers. I'm going to name Avisail Garcia from Milwaukee. He is playing every day out there because of the injuries all over that team, and he's batting in the last 2 weeks, 364. He's got 10 RBIs. He's been pretty consistent all year. He can chip in a steal here and there, but he's not a speed guy. And then one other guy we've talked about before, we keep expecting him to slow down, but he's not, and that's Jake Fraley in Seattle. He's continuing to play well, put up decent numbers, and he runs the bases too. So he's got 2 steals. So if you're looking for steals, this waiver wire might be the best opportunity for you to gain ground in that category. So check it out.
I'm glad you mentioned him. I was going to mention him if you didn't. And I will also say there are plenty of people I won't mess with in a dark alley, but I also just don't go to dark alleys. I'm just going to say that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay. But sometimes it's unavoidable. Depends where you parked. Okay. Starting pitchers. Ross, name them.
Ross will start with Joe Ross. Joe Ross, I watched pitched at the 11 a.m. start game against the Dodgers on July 4th. They always have an early game in D.C. because of fireworks. And Joe Ross, 11 strikeouts, 7 innings, looked unbelievable. His past 6 starts, 2.31 ERA, 44 Ks, 39 innings. He's been wheeling and dealing the past 6 starts. For me, I would pick up Joe Ross right now. He's just getting better and better every game. And he got hurt a couple years ago, and he had great potential. But I think right now he's hitting his potential, and right now is a good time to pick this guy up.
Okay, and I'm just going to say this is hot take or eat crow. I think he's going to suck. Don't pick him up. It's going to be really interesting to see now. I'm going to say James Kaprelian. He's 57% owned. He has been completely lights out. Also, if you're going to pick up a player like Joe Ross, I'd actually pick up Jake Odorizzi. This is a guy who hasn't been that great historically. He's been solid, but he is completely dominating in Houston, and they have a great pitching staff, so maybe something's clicked there. Casey, what do you think?
I agree with you. I own Joe Ross. I dropped him a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was a bad choice, but I'm still going to not regret it yet. But who knows? I'm going to name Nick Pivetta in Boston. In the last 2 weeks, Nick Pivetta has 18 innings pitched, over a strikeout an inning with 23, less than a 1 whip, and a team that can get him, if he has a 3 ERA, he could easily win 10 games going down the stretch with the way this offense hits. So he can help you in that category as well. And I'm going to name Drew Smyly in Atlanta. This is another guy who's been around the block a few times. He's a crafty pitcher. He's in the National League. He's got less than a 1 ERA and 1 whip in the last few starts. A guy who is a good streaker when he's going well, certainly against some of the matchups. He's another guy I would start. Who did we miss, Ross?
Logan Gilbert. I remember when he came up a few months ago, he looked horrible. I mean, he pitched, he couldn't get through the 3rd inning. He had a next start, horrible. All this press, all this hype on Logan Gilbert. Dane was picking him up. Casey was picking him. Everybody loved this kid. But now Casey Scheinfeld, the last 6 starts, 2.90 ERA, 34 Ks in 31 innings, which means Dan likes him because he has more strikeouts than innings. That means that puts a plus on him because Dr. Dan Redner likes players that do that. And I think Logan Gilbert's coming into his own right now. I think good time to pick him up if you can.
Dan, name one more.
Well, I need to say a couple things. First of all, everyone likes pitchers who strike out more than me.
But that's your like
that is an important that is a benchmark for us. Yes.
Put stamp of approval. That's the Dr. Dan stamp of approval when the pitcher has more strikeouts than innings pitched. You know I'm right.
Casey's played this game longer. He can attest. I'm a whip hound more than anything else.
We'll talk about that later. That's a sick fetish.
All right, but I did want to say also. When Casey mentioned Drew Smyly, I actually was going to say, wait, I want to have a category where we say These numbers look great. Watch out. Caution, flammable. I think Drew Smiley is that guy.
Caution,
so this is interesting, Casey.
Caution, Will Roger. Caution.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah,
Danger.
That's it. Will Robinson.
Okay, I'm not saying he's the guy who's going to carry you to the championship, but
no, of course
I like him in the National League against matchups.
No, I like to put these things out there because then we can argue about them later, and one of us can look smart and the other can look dumb. So we'll see.
All right, I like it. The only other one his numbers don't look great, but I love his stuff. And if the Cubs need a pitcher, Adbert Alzolay is their best pitcher guy. He's one who, if he puts it all together, this is a big if, but it's somebody I would keep an eye on. He's only 30% owned. Okay, relief pitchers. Dan, I know he's on your team, and I know you are upset that he was the first closer you took. So how do you feel about Chad Green replacing Aroldis Chapman as closer in New York?
Well, it's certainly not a comfortable position to be in. I am, and I'll tell you why I'm mostly frustrated about it. I haven't owned Aroldis Chapman in years, and he just is always dominating for other teams. I pick him, and he turns out to be terrible for a bit. But I actually think he's going to right the ship soon. Doesn't matter what his numbers are going to be like. He's going to be back in that closer role, and I think he's going to be totally fine. But I would pick up Chad Green and play him for a little while. Why not? That's a great pick. He wouldn't be my number one reliever to pick up, though, actually, because I think he won't be. I don't think he'll have it for long. In fact, there's something I want to talk about. This is the time of the season when you might want to turn to some middle relievers who can dominate. They may not be getting you saves, but there are guys like Colin McHugh, who's just completely dominating in Tampa Bay, and their pitching staff, they just make everybody good. You can get huge numbers from him, and he pitches multiple innings as well. So he's somebody I'd look at. Of course, Michael Kopech is somebody I've been waiting on to come back. He's another middle reliever I like. But who's the guy in Miami? Why am I breaking on Bender? What's his first name? I'm John Bender from The Breakfast Club. No, I'm kidding. You don't know Bender? All right. You know what? Let's go to Ross.
All right. Well, he looks that up.
On his first. Anthony Bender. Tony Bender. You guys don't know him?
I know he is.
This is the heir apparent.
I don't think he's on my list to pick up, but go on.
You own Yimi Garcia. You should know who Anthony Bender is. He's going to take over his job.
I just have no interest of owning the guy, but tell me why I should pick him up.
Well, how about this? He has a .68 ERA and a .72 whip. He just got his first save, and he has 34 strikeouts in 26 innings. What more are you looking for? 10% owned. Grab him.
Okay, well, he's not my top list of pickups. I have Chad Green near the top, but I also have Scott Barlow in Kansas City. Scott Barlow has a couple saves in the last couple weeks. They seem to be turning it over to him instead of Greg Holland in that Kansas City bullpen. He's got more than 2 strikeouts per inning, since we're talking about the strikeouts per inning benchmark. He would be my top relief pitcher ad right now. The other one who is kind of, for some reason, always under-owned and still under 60%, even though he's right at 60%. I apologize. So if you'll count him, it's Kendall Graveman in Seattle.
It counts 60 and below.
We've mentioned him at least 5 times on the Waiver Wire show, and he continues to put up good numbers in Seattle, gets saves and wins without hurting your ERA or WHIP. So he's another one that you should run out and get if he's available in your league. I'll let Ross talk about the Philadelphia Philly that he likes so much.
Oh, yes. Let's do it. He was high on my list, too. Go ahead, Ross. I'll let you do
it. So Ranger, they're talking about Ranger Suarez.
Yes,
I love the name Ranger. That is a great first name, Ranger.
Ranger Suarez.
So in 31 innings, he's only given up 3 runs. That's not bad, right, Case?
That's Ratner-esque.
That's Ratner-esque, exactly. That's a good, exactly. And Joe, the manager of your Philadelphia Phillies, said it's his job right now for this week. We'll see what happens. But Ranger is going to be the closer, supposedly. We'll see how long that lasts for. But his stats look good. Pick him up. He has a cool name. Might as well pick him up.
Go ahead.
Michael Lorenzo of the Cincinnati Reds. He's coming back next week. I believe he'll be the closer. I mean, their bullpen's a disaster.
Oh, I was going to say, which of the 5 Cincinnati closers do you want?
Every week it's somebody else, and it's like so hopefully him coming back he hasn't pitched the whole year. He's been hurt. He's also a great hitter too. He's a great athlete, this kid, but a great backstory too.
So have he and Shohei Ohtani go back and forth in the All-Star game between right field and pitcher.
Perfect. I'm going to make one.
So somebody else that we talk about every week, and some reason he can't get above 60% is Daniel Bard of the Colorado Rockies. He gets every week. He has like 2 saves. And if you need saves and he's available in your league, pick him up. I know his ERA is not that great, and Colorado does not win that many games, but still he's available. Pick him up.
2 things of note before we wrap up. Trevor Rosenthal is undergoing actual season-ending surgery. Cut bait on him immediately. If you've been holding on to him, get rid of him. Okay? Then one other thing I want to say. I was thinking about Kendall Graveman versus Anthony Bender, and which one do you want to own? Well, Kendall Graveman would be the natural one to pick up, but we're coming up on the trade deadline. The chances of Kendall Graveman getting dealt are pretty high. The chances of Yimi Garcia getting dealt or getting replaced are also pretty high. I would actually rather own Anthony Bender. And we're going to talk about this over the coming weeks. I just wanted to say it. Casey, you're the host. Back to you.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for your help today in naming these fabulous players for all of us to pick up and helping us build these winning rosters. And thank you to the viewers. Again, as always, please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notification, like this video, and leave comments for us. We love responding and interacting directly with everybody here. After another successful week, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next Tuesday for the Q&A with Dr. Daniel Ratner.
Oh, yeah. From Kill Cliff, the #1 clean energy drink in the mind of Joe Rogan, comes the Flamin' Joe. Sugar-free, B vitamins, electrolytes, all them good drink things. An epic spicy pineapple fusion from out of this world, straight into